here to stay. Buckets, he won't give up, no, no, cause you know he's way too tough. He's gonna do whatever it takes. He's gonna find a way. Casey never liked school much. All the kids would laugh when he read in class. Teachers tried to help him out, but they didn't know what to do, so they just let it pass. Sometimes he wanted to scream out loud, hide his head in the sound of the clouds. D-Y-S-L-E-X-I-A, he give anything to make it go away, even though he knows it's here to stay. Buckets, he won't give up, no, no, cause you know he's way too tough. He's gonna do whatever it takes. He's gonna find a way.
Good evening, everyone. How's your Sunday been? Lola Aneke, I saw you right from the beginning. Well done. Thank you so much. Pamela Manu, thank you. And I want to thank everyone that will be joining us. Thank you so much for choosing to spend your Sunday evenings with us. It's always a great learning experience. The feedback from last week and the week before had been tremendous. And people kept on saying, oh, I learned something new. Oh, I didn't realize that could be the issue and all of that. So thank you for always joining in. You know, like I always say to us, one of the participants said to me that, welcome to class, you know, we're always in class learning with our notepads and our pens. And, you know, it's not just all about learning, implementation. What are we doing with what we've learned so far about helping individuals with disabilities, individuals with special needs? Remember, it is called finding out with special needs. And when you found the help, you don't keep it to yourself. You shout it out at the rooftop on how to help individuals with special needs and their family. Samuel Chikodi, thank you for joining it. Thank you to everyone that has joined on our various platforms, on our websites, on Facebook, on YouTube. Thank you so much. We truly appreciate you. Today is going to be an interesting topic as always, and I'm excited as always. You know, it's episode 43. Imagine not 1, 2, 3, 4, not 10, not 20, not 30, not 40. It's episode 43. Well done, guys. Thank you. You are the reason we are here week in, week out to learn and to help make the world a better place for individuals with special needs. Mr. Alex, I want to thank you so much for always being here, for helping out to ensure that this show is truly inclusive. Thank you, Sunday Precious. We see you. Everyone, I just want to say thank you to you. Welcome. I also want us to please have our questions ready. You know, today's topic is quite interesting. It's a topic that people always shy away from. They don't want to talk about it. Even individuals without special needs or disability, talking about estate planning or talking about even as little as will, people will be like, God forbid, it's not going to happen to me. Oh, does it really matter? We're not living abroad. Oh, I don't have anything to plan. It's not that's not true. That's not true. There's always something to plan for. You know, there's this popular saying that goes, if you fail to plan, that means you're planning to fail. So let's not plan to fail. Let's plan to plan. Okay, let's plan. That's the whole idea. Let's plan so that we can be rest assured that everything will be well with our kids with special needs, such that whenever we're not available to support them, we're sure that there's a system, there's something in place that we have planned ahead to help them. So again, today's topic is estate planning and administration for children with special needs. You know, each time I put out the topic for the week on Fridays or on Thursdays, I always try to explain what it is, you know. And today we have fantastic guests in the house who will be doing justice to today's topic. We have two Today we do have two men. We do have two men. We have a balance. So we have we have a male and a female, and then it's also a balance. I'm the host. Mr. Alex is interpreting, so it's a balanced one. Okay. So let me see who we have at the background, um, and then we'll take it from there. Hi, Mrs. IKW.
Hello, Lola. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm super excited to see you this evening. You're looking all beautiful. Thank you
It's
so much for
lovely
choosing to
to be
spend
here.
your good, good, good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Our other guest is not available right now. He has said he'll join us in the next few minutes. I think he's
Okay.
stuck somewhere. But we can go on while he
Yes,
joins up.
yes, yes,
And
yes.
then we want you to please introduce yourself, what you do, and in the field of special needs and individually, what you're just doing. Because I know you're doing a lot with disability management. So please tell us about yourself and what you do.
Okay. Well, hello, Lola. Hello, viewers. My name is Ifweko Karibi White, and I am a mother of a beautiful 16-year-old daughter who's on the autism spectrum. So, for the purposes of today, that's my most important job. Aside from that, I'm a lawyer. Um, and I work in the space of oil and gas.
Thank you.
So, Lola,
I like the way you went straight to the point. Like, this is the most important
yes,
thing. Apart from that, is what I do. And today's topic
yes.
is very, very interesting to me personally. I'd learned a lot while preparing for today's topic. And while I was preparing for it during the week, I thought
Hmm.
of the best person to bring in or the best set of people to bring in. And I'm more than convinced that you are the best person to come up to talk to us about this topic, and also Barrister Akilani, who will join us in a few seconds. So I would want you, we have quite a number of people who are watching and listening to us, our audience.
Hmm.
And when the topic came out, the first question the person said to me that was, what's the difference between um, an estate planning and will? And I said, well, I have an idea because I've spoken to some professionals, and that was after I spoke with you. But then I said to her, that would be one of the questions we're going to ask. Could you please explain what estate planning is, and probably help us understand what a will is and the general concept of what estate planning is? Not just for special needs, but let's just talk about it generally, what it is.
Okay. So basically, a will is a document that you write so that everybody knows how you want to share your possessions. That's basically what a will is. So, as long as you're 18 years old, you have sound mind in Nigeria today, you can write it on a piece of paper.
Right.
You just need two witnesses, two competent adults to witness your document. It's a lot more than that, but that's basically what a will is.
Okay.
Now, the trusteeship
Okay.
is basically
So
putting a
are you still
vehicle.
there? Because you can see that. Hello?
You can't see me. Hello, I'm
Hello,
here.
Mrs. Carey White.
I'm right
Okay,
here.
so um can you hear me, Mrs. Carey White?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. So I think we'll just go straight into the topic for discussion for today. When Barrister comes in, he will introduce himself and also shed more light um, from his own perspective what estate planning and administration is. But let's talk
Okay.
about the topic for today, estate planning and administration for children
Okay.
with special needs. What should they look like? Because a lot of people, most of our audience are teachers and parents, and most of them, sometimes when they come in here, they get information as to how they can support children with special needs, how they can teach better. Parents get ideas of how they can support their kids. But this is a topic that's quite technical, if I may say. And they're asking, what
It's
do we do?
very
What does it mean?
technical. So
Yes.
basically, estate planning, your estate is basically your belongings. A lot of people, when they hear that word estate, they shy away. I don't have houses, I don't have mansions, so this is not for me. No. An estate means your belongings. So whether it's your car, whether it's your gold, whether it's your clothes, those are your belongings. They don't necessarily have to be houses. So I hope that tells everybody that all of us can actually create some sort of estate management for our children. We don't have to be billionaires to do that. So the first thing is
Fantastic.
to, it's a reality that we face with COVID-19. I mean, this year has been interesting to say the least. So, I think we've all at some point called to question our mortality this year.
True.
And so the question becomes, what happens? What happens when I pass? What happens to my child who has special needs when I pass? Do
Right.
I write a
Right.
will? Your will basically is just putting down how you want to distribute your belongings, your properties. You have to
Right.
think, who is going to take care of my child?
Mm,
And how is my child going to be taken care of
mm,
financially?
mm,
So, who, that's the guardianship. And then how is the financial aspect? What are you putting in place for your child to be taken care of should the unthinkable happen, which is you pass?
mm.
I would suggest it's an open discussion. I'll be honest with you, as a parent with a special needs daughter, I'm like every Nigerian. God forbid, it's not my portion, none of that. But because of my training, at some point about 2 years ago, I wrote it down. It was one of my plans for one of the things I wanted to achieve in 2018 to write a will.
Mm.
And I remember when I told my husband, he was like, write a will, okay? For what? Where are you going? I
Miss
said, I want
Kariwai,
to
could you
write.
just hold that thought a bit? Please hold that thought. I would want, before we go deep into the topic for today, I'd want us to welcome
Mhm.
Barrister Kilam, who just joined us. Hello, Barrister.
Okay.
Thank you very much for having me.
Welcome, Barrister Kilami. So
Thank
we are
you very
here with
much.
Mrs. Caribby White, and
Yeah.
she's a parent of a child with autism, and she had explained to us what an estate planning and administration should look like in our own from our own perspective. And someone was asking a question about the will, a will, and all of that. But before we go into that, I wanted to please introduce yourself to our audience, and also from your own perspective, explain what a will, sorry, an estate plan and administration should look like, and what a will be. I mean, not talking about special needs right now, what it should look like generally, because like Ms. Caribbean said before, I stopped out. She said most of us, like every Nigerian, will be like, God forbid, it's not my portion. I'm not dying yet. Why should I write a will? It's against our culture and all of that. So I wanted you to just shed the light on what it should be. You know what a will, what estate planning and administration should be from the learned perspective,
Okay.
and what yeah, just tell us about yourself first, and then what
Okay.
it should be.
Okay. My name is Taiwo Akinlami,
Welcome.
social development lawyer. I'm interested in how law interacts with social development. I believe
Yes.
that law is an instrument of social change. Everything we do is governed by law. There's no way we can
Yes.
run away from that. So that's the perspective from where I speak. And I think when it comes to the issue of will, let me tell you a story that when I was in school, Lagos State University, I had a friend, Tunde, we were quite close. And one day we went to his house in Badagry. The father has a big estate. I mean, the guy has done very well for himself. And so when we were there, I asked Tunde when we were going back to school, I asked her, I'm trying to change
Yes, I
my
wanted to tell you. Good. It's
okay,
clearer now. Yeah,
good,
you can
good,
close the window. It might be clearer if
good.
you close the window.
I've gotten a
All the
better
sun is
place.
coming
Yeah.
in.
So
Okay.
I asked my friend Tunde that why does your father have a will? Because I was reading law, I was in 200 level. Said, my father does not have a will. My father can never have a will. My father will never have a will. I said, why? He said, and I said, have you advised him? Can I talk to him? The father we just learnt about, will, a lot of things was checking me, and I wanted to engage the father. My friend today told me that, look, if you discuss anything about will with my father will believe that I'm the one that sent you, and me and my mother want to kill him. So please, don't just focus on why you are here. Don't discuss anything like that with my dad. And that is basically the way we think in this part of the world. We believe that to plan for the future, to plan for tomorrow, is an invitation to death. But both from traditional thinking, from religious perspective, the loudest prayers in the religious circle is, you will not die, you will live. And yes, you will not die, you will live. But the truth of the matter is that when you go to bed, that you wake up is not in your hand, is in God's hand. And so you have to recognize the fact that we must always prepare for the best, but also we must understand there's something called vicissitude of life. So because of that, we begin to do things in the right, put things in place to ensure that those we are going to leave behind are not going to suffer, they're not going to be in trouble. So basically, that is what I would say by way of introduction. Then again, it is important for me to state that when you're talking about estate management, estate planning, and will is not everything that is about estate planning. Estate planning is far bigger than writing a will. A will is just an item in estate planning. But there's a lot you can do if you have resources. What about taking an insurance? You take an insurance to secure the education of your children in case anything happens to you, which means that if anything happens to you, the insurance company is going to ensure that your children go to school. There's a whole lot of things that you can register a company, which is when you register that company, it's a trust company. This company is the company that under which you register every business, every business commitment of the family, you register it under that company. Is a company that everybody in the family is a shareholder, and it may be a director depending on their age. Anybody below 18 cannot be a director in a company, but anybody can be a shareholder in a company. So you can have a trust company. Now there are a lot of things you can do. I think for now I will stop here and take more questions. But before I stop, it is important for me to also say that when we discuss estate planning in the third world, we have to discuss it against the backdrop of the fact that Nigeria has the highest number of poor people in the world. According to the Poverty Watch, 82 million Nigerians are living on less than $1 per day. Children with ordinary needs, they are going through a lot, not to talk of children with special need that is ordinary. We have not been able to meet that. So when we're having this conversation, we must have it from those two planks. The planks of the poor, the ones of wood and draughts of water, who don't even have a life, not to talk of living a will or planning an estate. They don't even have estates. Now, then we're also going to look at the middle class and the upper crust. So I think the conversation should look at those two areas, and I can speak to both. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Barrister. Thank you. Mrs. Carrie White, I'm so sorry I had to cut you so that we can start, get the foundation together before we go into your own personal experience. And I remember you were trying to explain to us what you had planned to do 2 years ago, and then COVID this year. So could you please walk us through, tell us your own experience as to planning, estate planning for your child with special needs?
Okay, so estate planning is a lifelong process because whatever you put in place today may not be valid tomorrow. Your finances change, people come and go. So it's not something you will do once and never touch again. You have to keep going, revising. You will make more money, you will lose some money, you will gain more trustful people that you want to put in your child's life, you will lose some. Facts of life. So it's something that's continuous till you go. You will know once you put the first thing in once you do the first round, you will know the next time you need to make amendments to what you have put in place. You will know based on your circumstances. So it's important that we all know that actually, this estate planning is something you're going to plan for life. You're going to keep reviewing. That's the truth. Till you go, you're going to have to keep reviewing. But basically, what you're doing is making your wishes clear to your loved ones and giving them direction as to how to actualize your wishes. In this case, this is for your special needs child. Okay. Um, I was telling the story of when I told my husband that I wanted to write a will. In fact, he didn't even want to hear it. He was just quite, he said, why? For what? You are younger than me. So I told him, I said, yes, I'm younger than you. So this does not concern you, because by the time my will comes out, you won't even be here. So don't even worry about it. But he was like, I don't understand you. You're not even 50. You're thinking of writing a will. I said, I'm not going anywhere, but I just want to it's time to put some things in place. So that started my journey. And I'm still on the journey because I haven't really gotten that far. But there's an interesting thing Mr. Taiwo said, barrister, and I want us to harp on it. And it's the issue of what does the ordinary man do? Because when we think of this estate planning and writing a will, we think of rich people who have things to give away.
True.
The ordinary man is struggling to feed himself and live day to day. So what really can he put down? What can the mother put down? And I'm not taking anything away from all the other insurance companies. But you know what? I decided to check. Every single one of us can get life insurance. I wanted to know, life insurance also, it's people that have money that want to insure their life or whatever. It seems that way. It
Those are
seems
the
that
people that
way.
life is important to them.
Yeah, exactly. But guess what? I found that you can actually assure for 100,000 naira. So in a year, you're paying 1,000 naira for an insured sum of 100,000 naira. That to me is feasible to the average man. I was shocked. I actually had to, because I Googled online, I saw this insurance company. I had to find somebody who knew somebody in the insurance company to confirm that, do you actually have this available? And the person responded to me, yes. So, I want to throw it out there. It's not just, all these things are not for the rich. They're not for the rich. We can all afford to put down 1,000 naira a year to assure ourselves for 100,000. So if that is the only trust you are putting in place in this 2020, if that's the only thing we all take away from here, let's all look to going to doing something like that. I will tell you, the insurance company, they are not paying me nothing. I have no whatever with them. That's AXA Mansard that has that. I'm sure others have their own, but I researched. They said they have it. I verified, so that's one. I'm sure others
You
have
call
it
the
as
name of
well,
that
but
insurance
it's
company.
something we can do.
What?
AXA Mansard.
Okay.
AXAMANSARD.
SKRD. Okay. Thank you for that
Yes, because for me,
information. Very,
I like to find practical examples that all
yeah,
of us
that's
can
what we do.
use.
Absolutely.
You know,
Thank you so much for sharing that.
So that's just one. So for me today, if you can't, because 2020 is just about survival. Let's get past it. But some of the things that we can put in place, we can take this life insurance. Those of us that can afford to do more, we can do that. Let's call that the first stage of our estate planning.
Interesting. Thank you so much. Barrister, over to you. I like the fact that you hit the nail on the head right from the onset, because the question when I was talking to someone, she said to me, look, like if both of you had said, oh, for the rich people, we don't have anything, what can we really give? And that's the question I'm about to ask now. if I can answer that question, she said about the life insurance. What other thing can we leave when it
Okay,
comes to estate
okay.
planning that is actually accessible? Not that we have to be billionaires and millionaires before we
Okay.
can leave something
Le-
or have a
le-
plan for our children with special needs.
okay, let me start this way. Let me begin to answer that question this way. I think the first thing we need to think about is the fact that the fact that you write a will, which is how you want your property to be distributed and to who, does not mean the will be followed if you are no more.
Mm.
That is
Mm.
why
So
wills
tell
are
us about
contended.
that too.
Where wills are contested in court.
Mm.
Women have People have gone to court, men and women, to say that the person who wrote the will, the testator, was not of sound mind, because sound mind is a fundamental ingredient of a will that will be
Mhm.
enforced. So he
Mm.
said my husband was not of sound mind when he made all of these things and all of that, or my wife was not of sound mind and all of that. So it is important for us to understand that we need to address the belief system. How do you see a child with special need? That's
Mm.
foundational. In the same way, how
Mm.
do you see
True.
an adopted child? I know a couple who did not have children and they decided to adopt, and they adopt two children from the Lagos state government. And no sooner than they adopted those two children, they passed on, and they died in a car crash, and they left those two adopted children behind. Do you know that the family carried these two children to the Lagos state government and said they were not their children because they wanted to inherit the family's property? So the fact that somebody has written a will does not mean the will be followed. Depending on the age of the child, on who is made the administrator of the will, depending who the trustees are and all of that. You can also find a
Mm.
situation where the trustee will connive with the beneficiary, with those who are not even beneficiaries, and they
Yeah.
edge out the child. So I think the first thing
Mm.
to do is to sensitize our family, so let them
True.
understand that this child is a child, and the
Mm.
fact that we are even discussing, estate planning for children with special need is already a problem, because we won't discuss estate planning for a child, ordinarily. So it shows where our society is, and so that is why it is important for us to stress it, that we keep saying it. A child is a gift from God. you know
Mm.
there are three foundational things about children. One, children are gifts from God. The book that I read tells me so. They are a heritage, they are a gift. Number two, children are foundations to be laid. Number three, children are mysteries to be studied. A
True.
child comes as a full package, ready to hit his or her world with everything God has endowed him or her with. It is our
Mm.
responsibility to see the difference. That's why I love to refer to children who are special needs as children that are differently abled. They are differently able. They have a form of ability that is not common. And that word has been accepted generally as a way to describe them also. And UNICEF says these are people with disability. Thisabilty, disability. And when you probe further, what is the meaning of disability? Is the disability that is not common, disability
Come on.
that the ordinary eyes cannot see, disability
True.
that it will take a lot of reorientation for you to see, because it is there, it is different, and it is only for you to take another look and see. So we live in a society that still discriminates
Mm.
against children with special needs. As far back as 2016, I've done an extensive research into the rights of children with special needs. And I discovered that there's just on the face of it discrimination. So you find a situation where somebody plans the estate, does everything, and the person is no more, and some people come up and say, that one is a child. In a
Mm.
country where a woman who waited for many years to have a child now had a child who is SS. She told me my husband's family will say, that one is that a child? Somebody will say, somebody that will die soon. That's what the family is saying about that child. So they never reckoned with her, somebody who had a child for their brother. They just feel that this
Mm.
one is not going to last now. Are you getting it? So if you can think about that, about a child who is SS, it doesn't have any problem. This is something that can be managed. How much more other children? So I think Part of estate planning should be to begin to have conversation with those who are close to us, to begin to recruit those who will defend that will, that planning that we are doing, to say, see, this is what I want for my daughter, this is what I want for my son. And I want to beg you, I want to appeal to you, even if everybody stands against this thing, I want you to stand. I want you to defend this thing. This is what I want for him, this is what I want for her. Because you may not need to do that for your child who does not have special needs, because at least everybody understands. Even children that don't have special needs, some family members still rise up, despite the will
True.
of the man, to dispossess the wife, to dispossess the children. Is what we have seen happen. So we live in a different climate, and it is important that part of that is to have conversation. Again, I think if you are going to deal with trustees for your child, I think you should go to professional trusteeship companies. Like I don't want to mention any name. Those
Please
companies
go
that
ahead. Find out with passionate. Give us names so that, because the
you know
whole idea of this
companies
program is to enlighten people to
you
know
know
what to do.
you,
So please
yes.
Barrister
start with
Taiwo,
your
give
ideas.
names, give
Give
names
Okay.
so
names,
that you can
please.
help. You can help
Help
Okay.
us.
exactly.
Give
That's the thing.
names.
It's called finding help with special needs. We need help.
Okay.
Tell us.
So for those who have the resources, you can hire, trust organizations. That is their work. I think within the hierarchy of the First Bank, there's an organization, there's a company there, and different ones out there who are professionals. They don't know anybody. They don't face anybody. If you try anything, they take you to court. They defend that will. They have the resources to do that because you have engaged them to do that. So I think we need to start from there. Then secondly, we need to empower the child himself or herself to be able
Self-advocacy.
to defend those things. Now, in this country, anybody below 18 is a child. The unfortunate thing is that children are not seen, not to talk of being heard. We're in the type of country where children try to contribute to conversation. Though they ask for permission, you say, excuse me, you there. And the child has said, sorry, ma, can I chip in something? Say, what you want to do? What? My friend, move. So we also
Approach
need
it.
to empower the child while we are here, because you see, the much we can do for children here is to empower them, make them not to need anybody. Barack Obama was asked, what is your greatest achievement in the life of your two girls? He said, I've raised them not to need me. I've raised them to be independent. I've raised them to be a woman of their own, to be a woman of the children, to be women of their own, being able to fight their own cause and all of that. So I think that is critical. Then lastly, is the fact that I think there's no way we are not going to begin to agitate. The idea of this life insurance, when you put in 1,000 every year and you get 100,000. I mean, it's fantastic. Something we need to move. It's something we need to promote. It's something we need to let people know. Then secondly, I think that, you see, there are 4 institutions that are responsible for raising children. 4 institutions. Unfortunately, because we live in the third world, my battery is leaving me. I'm going to look for. I'm in a friend's place, so I'm trying to do as.
Okay.
So so.
Do you want us to
But let me
turn you
let,
up for a
let,
bit? We
let me
round
quickly
up then
say
we
this.
get it.
No, let,
Yeah.
let me say this. I'll look for a charger now. Now,
Okay.
now, what I want to say, there are 4 institutions responsible for raising children. The first institution is the family. The
Mm-hmm.
family. The second institution is the community. The third institution is the state. The fourth
Mm,
institution is the international community. When it
mm,
comes to children with special need, and every child, particularly children with special need, all of these institutions must be enforced, must be working.
mm.
Now, number one, look at children with special need in Nigeria. Most of the people who find help, most of the people who find hope are the people whose parents have the resources to be able to do so. My
True.
friend's son is autistic, and he keeps telling himself, Taiwo, what if I don't have the resources? What if I don't have the money? What will have happened to my son? And he feels so bad, not for his son, but for, and he tells me, I want to start a foundation. I want to say I can reach out to other children who don't have, even to diagnose early, to begin to go through treatment early. These are fundamental issues. I've met people
True.
at 14, at 15, that's why they're just getting to know, is she autistic? Is he That's at 15, at 14. When they have tried everything, they've gone to church, they've gone to the mosque, they've gone to the herbalist, they've cast out devils, they've done everything, they poured water, they poured oil, they poured everything pourable, including libation. Only to find out, This thing is not working. That's when they will now say, okay, let's go and talk to somebody. Are you getting what I'm saying? So the
Yes, sir.
family is number one. Number two is the community. What is the role of the community? To reinforce the role of the family. Family is to inculcate positive value system in children. Then the state is supposed to create level playing field for every child to thrive, to grow. Now look
True.
at it today in Lagos State where I live. You say you have school for children special need. You put autistic children, children with Down syndrome, children with that's
Because
that's
of the
dyslexic.
grief,
You put all of them
the
in one class with
depression.
one teacher who is not trained in anything apart from shouting on those children and managing them till they close, returning them home. They come back tomorrow. They are not raising them on to do anything exceptional. So
Hmm.
all these institutions, the question is that if I'm the only one planning for my children, what is the role of the government to whom I pay tax? What is the role of the community to which I belong, where I serve in the church? I'm a deacon, I do all of those things, so I serve in the mosque. What is the role of my society, community? All of that are critical. Then again, what is the role of the government? So these are
Hmm.
things we must be thinking about, and therefore we must begin to lead an advocacy that begin to hold those who are in power, community. What is the plan of the church for children with special needs, even including building of the church, to create ramp, to create all of those
Yes,
things, all of
yes.
those issues. How much teaching do we do on that? Even in terms of changing people's perspective and people's mind, these are fundamental issues that we need to be looking at. So, family, community, state, and international community, all of these institutions must be at work in planning for the future of a child.
Thank you so much, Barrister. Oh my God, but you're not going away. We'll let
Let me
you.
go and look
I'll
for
put up
battery.
your video for you to find a charger. I'll
Yeah,
have Mr. Baker do justice to some of
Yes,
the
Barrister,
questions
you
you
need
asked.
to come back. You need to
You
come
need to
back.
go
yeah.
back. Please get a charger. I would whoop yes. Okay, Mr. Barrister, you know when you say you've opened a can of worm, it's all out there.
He has opened a can of worms. He has
So,
opened it
we need to
all.
know.
He has
Oh,
opened it all.
true,
And if we
true,
start to delve into all of that, we'll move away from this topic.
true, true.
Um, because there's a lot there. There's a lot there.
Mhm, mhm.
But to
So
bring us back
let's talk
home,
about the one that we
um,
can control within our own. So I would
exactly.
want you to,
To
yeah.
bring us back home in terms of the topic, it really the bulk, it starts and ends with the family.
Mhm. The family first,
When
yes.
we're talking autism and we're talking estate planning. So conversations need to be had.
True.
It should not be a secret. Your will is almost a secret. It's a secret. Nobody knows what you
Mhm.
put in there.
Mm.
Estate planning is the opposite.
Yes,
Your family should know.
yes,
Your spouse will know.
true.
The primary caregivers supporting your child will know.
You know what you
Your
want.
family members will know. So it's not a case of should you go, should the inevitable happen, that everybody's now saying, no, she didn't say that, he didn't say that, no, it can't be
Mm.
so. No, it's a
Mm.
discussion that has been had. It is a fact that has been known. So where do you start? For me, you sit, you have a conversation with yourself. My late father always used to say, when you're thinking about something, you start with the who, the when, the how, and the why.
Why?
So
True.
the who here is your special needs child, my daughter. The why is, if I'm not here, I still want her life to be as if I'm still here, right?
Mhm.
That's basically it. When do I need to put this in place? You don't know when you're going, so when is now,
True. When it's now.
right? Because you don't know tomorrow. So when is now?
Mm.
The big one
And
is
how?
how
How? Yeah.
and what do you put in
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
So I always start with the lowest hanging fruit. When you have a big
Mhm.
project, you start with the most achievable ones,
Yeah.
and then you start to climb. So what's the most achievable one? Sitting down, writing down what you want.
Mhm.
What do you want for your child? Now, note that what you want for your child is based on their current abilities, their needs, the services they're getting, whatever benefits, if any, the state is getting, and of course, your wishes for their future.
In the future, education wise and otherwise.
Yes. So it's almost your own IEP for life for your
Mhm.
child.
The child.
So you're putting that down. When you put all of that down, the issue is how do you now achieve it? So if I, for I'm not here tomorrow, can my husband step in and continue? If that's the case, then, that's him. It's all good. If that's not the case, then who? Who is the next major primary caregiver? This is not about sentiment. This is about the focus is your child. So it's not an issue. I don't want to upset this person. I don't want not upset this person. It is who is best for this child. And there are two things. You're looking at guardianship, which is who will be the mommy in chief, who steps into your toes day to day running. Then there's the issue of who do you want to put to manage your funds. Now,
Okay.
Barrister so kindly has told us you can go the officious way. And that's beautiful if you have that much money. If you have that much money, please go the officious way. Go to First Bank or whoever trustees and set it up. So there's no, so that they have the back of your child. Please do that. But if we're not talking major money here and we just need to set something up, now who do you know that's going to do that? Who's going to be true to you and true to your child? Only you can answer that question.
Mhm.
And sadly, the answer may change tomorrow.
True, because the person might leave or betray your trust. Yeah.
But those are things that you certainly have to think about. So you're talking to yourself. For me, take out your journal, write it down, talk to, review, think through it, write it, and then discuss. You have to discuss. You have a spouse, discuss. You have family, you have sisters, friends, your support base. Talk to them. Talk to them, tell them. Some will tell you who they think, is even best for you to handle some of these things. Because you need to remove sentiment in all that you're doing and keep your child as the focus point. The focus
True.
point, making sure that whatever you're doing, you're putting in place something that ensures that should you step aside tomorrow, your child will be very minimally negatively impacted.
Mm.
So for me, those are the conversations to have. Now, I want to bring up something. There's something called a letter of intent. Hmm? It's not really a legal document, but it's basically saying all the things I just talked about.
Mm.
It's the big IEP that you want for your child. That's it. Write your letter of intent. Where you want your child to go, what school, when she finishes from this one, where you want her to be, all of that, all your big dreams. Write it down. The dreams that you know that if you are on ground, that's where you're going to go. Write it down, put it down, and then discuss it with the circle. There's a circle existing. We don't all exist in silos in Africa, thankfully. We don't exist by ourselves. So discuss it, let it be known. If there's only one thing that we take away from here, for me, for estate planning, thinking of our putting things in place for our children, our child with special needs when we're not there, one is this letter of intent, this big IEP, this global IEP that you're going to create. You need to create that. The second one is we're looking at financial, putting things aside. Like I said, not all of us are billionaires, millionaires, and 2020 has been interesting. So for me, at the very least, let's look at life insurance. Those 2 points are my major takeaways for today to everybody. That if we start from there, you can build on all of that, make it more robust to fit your own purpose. But these two items will not take 10 kobo away from you. In fact, it's only going to, one item going to cost you 1,000 apparently. So that's it. And you've put something in place. Something you started to think. You started to plan. And it's an ongoing process, like I say. So things are going to evolve. But let's just, I plead with everybody. Let's start with that.
Wow. You said quite a lot of things to us. Thank you so much. And the question is, can anyone just sit down and write the letter of intent, or would you need a lawyer to back it up?
You don't need anybody to write your letter of intent. Basically, you are just writing down your hopes and aspirations
And
for
then you
your
share it with
child.
family members.
Yes, and then you start to discuss it with the circle.
Absolutely. Wow. Thank you. Barrister, are you there? I see your back, but your video is not on. Are you still with us?
Okay, I'm here. Can you hear
Okay.
me?
We can hear you.
Yes.
You want to remain this way, or you want just to see your face?
Yes. Okay. Let me show my face a bit. It's like I'm trying to charge the phone, and I'm conscious
Okay.
of the fact that I wanted to be able to charge a bit before I. But let's see how far we can go.
Okay. Okay. Is it
Okay.
charging already?
It's charging. Yes, I'm charging it
Yes.
now.
So, Mr. Reward has given us simple ways, just like you started at the beginning. That look, if
Mm,
we are not so rich or from a poor social economic background,
mm,
how
mm,
do you have estate planning or administration for your child,
mm, mm,
especially? And before you left, you threw out some bombs, some serious bombs that we're still trying to recover from. And we will try to take it from what we can control, which is the
mm,
family, the individual first. And then she gave
mm,
us some idea
mm,
that we can actually practice without having to break your, cut your hands and all of that. So from where you left it, let's start family. I think Mrs. I've done justice to that. The community, I don't know if you want us to go into that, but what are the things I want us to really? I want people to take away some valuable points from the discussion today. Now we've broken the old jinx of thinking that you have to be very rich and all of that. You can do things, but what can we do when it comes to estate planning and administration for children with special needs? And like you said, we know that some people don't even do for children with that special needs, but we need to think of the future. What are those things we should look out for? Okay, I could do life insurance. What else do I need to do? Talking about education, what can I do, and how do I do? What do I do to make sure that it's fully implemented when I'm not there?
Okay. Well, as I said before, when we take belief out of the way, when we take the belief system out of the way, we understand that at the end of the day, a will is not a will, except the people you leave behind make it your will. Because it's important that we stress that matter. So having said that, the thing again, there are things bigger than the will. Okay, for example, if you start a trust company, for example, you start a company, and that company owns all the businesses of the family, and children in the family are shareholders in the company. Are you getting it? They are directors and they are shareholders, which means if anything happens, that company in the administration, that company also is in the administration of the property of the family. So that company, the directors need to share, profit and all of that. That is a possibility. That's something we can begin. You can think about. You can take out an insurance policy for the education of the children. That is also that's also works in the course of. Now, I'm not talking about life insurance now. Life insurance is another thing entirely. If you talk to insurance company, they have all kinds of policies that they sell to people. I know someone whose children were going to school abroad, and he looked at it that I don't want the education of my children to stop while they are abroad, and if anything happens to me, so it takes a policy on the education of the children, for the period they were going to be in the UK or in the US, So and that now that means that if anything happened to him, that policy will be activated and the children will be able to finish school. That is another way to look at it. And another way to look at it is that so when you are talking about this estate planning now, we are looking at the fact that it is the planning being done by the husband and the wife, if the person is married. So I'm conscious again that there are single parents, there are widows, there are widowers, and all of that. But in a situation where you are doing it, you have to do it as a couple. You have to have a sit down with your spouse to say, we need to do this for our children. Why do you need to do it? You need to do most importantly because the society does not reckon with these children. And because the society doesn't reckon with children with special need to a very large extent, we need to sit down and plan for the life of this boy or this girl if anything happens to us. So it has to be a joint commitment on the part. Now, if that is a joint commitment, does not mean that both father and mother will see
Mr.
it the
Taiwo,
same way.
I want
Yeah,
to, sorry, I need to interrupt you for a bit.
okay.
You keep saying that the society does not recognize our children. We recognize our children. Our families and immediate community recognize our children. I think if you continue to spin that narrative that they're not recognized, they never will be recognized. Please change it to, typically, but, because it's almost like we're not going to get out of it. And we need to get out of it. You know,
Okay, madam.
a lot of families recognize their children with special needs, their family members with disabilities. And you are right, a lot don't. But it's changing, and we need to change that narrative as well. We need to stop talking as if it can't change. It is changing, and we need to encourage it to continue to change in the right direction. Sorry
Okay,
for
can I?
interrupting you. I
No,
just
no,
needed
not
to
a
say
problem
that.
at all. Not a problem at all. If you I appreciate what you have said. I mean, it's a valid point you have made, and it's understandable. I understand it. If you see my opening remarks, I made it abundantly clear
Mhm.
that we need to prepare people. And if I don't believe the narrative can change, I won't say we needed to prepare people. We need to sensitize people. You see, the challenge is this: we must understand that we are in a developing country. Now that word "developing" is a general statement. When I use the word "developing" for Nigeria, it's a very general statement. I say it as a patriotic person. And we can say it's a retrogressive country. We can say it's a stagnated country to a very large extent. Because when you look at the indices of growth, how can Nigeria, 200 million people, overtake India in the highest number of poor people in the world, 82 million people, living on less than $1 per day? How can Nigeria overtake India in the number of under 5 children that die every year? Nigeria has overtaken India, 1.3 billion to 200 million. So when you look at all of those indices and you begin to ask where we are, so as a third world country, there are some things that are peculiar. It's just recently we were able to eradicate polio, just this year. So what I'm saying in essence is that we have to live with the reality of where we are. And my advocacy is to say it as it is and at the same time profile way forward. And that's why I said that our will must begin when we are talking about estate planning. It must begin for winning people on the side of our children who can defend them even when everybody stood against them. Because there are those outliers. There are people like you, Mrs. Caribe White, who is standing for your daughter, who is out there. And I know so many other people too, who are champions for their children, who have insisted who have refused to define those children by how the society define them. You are outliers. You are making the difference. You are making the statement. We have to appreciate your effort and at the same time understand where the society is. Our society this is a society that is even still contesting whether a girl child is a child in the first instance. My brother-in-law lives abroad. She has 2 girls. And she says people, Nigerians abroad, will come and ask him, when are you going to have children? And he asks them that, what about these 2 girls? You don't understand. Girl children, they're going to go. That is Nigerians abroad. So when I say these things, I don't say it from a pessimistic point of view. If I say it from a pessimistic point of view, I will not profile solutions. And you know that anytime I speak, I try to profess, and that's why I said from the beginning, we must understand that in our estate planning, we must we must change people's orientation. We must so change the orientation of family members. We must change the orientation of there are children who are being raised under difficult circumstances. You know, in my work, I've recognized them. One of them are children who are adopted. You know, the other day, children were somewhere, they were trying to take picture with grandma, and they said, all grandchildren come up. And this particular child who was adopted was going, a woman dragged her back and said, come, they said grandchildren. Don't you can't join them. And unfortunately the parents did not know until they left that place. And the guy went to cry to the mom. But you see, when I talk to people also about adoption, I say when you are going to adopt, sensitize your family. Let them know the step you are going to, and that's what I'm talking about. That is what I'm talking. I'm not saying that we should accept it as a fait accompli. I'm not someone who is going to accept what is wrong as a fait accompli or advocate it as a fait accompli. No, we have to reject what is wrong, but we have to recognize what is wrong, how it is wrong, why it is wrong, and what we can do about it to ensure that it's not continuing to be wrong. And that's why when we are talking about this estate planning, I have to chip it in that the belief of the people is important. I've seen cases as a lawyer in court where, and I don't want, the reason why I don't want to use the word women and all of that, where a particular woman has come to court to tell the judge that the husband was out of his mind when he wrote that will. And the judge said, excuse me, madam, can I look at your beautiful children, your handsome son here? Are you saying the father of these children was out of his mind because the will did not favor? He said, that's why I'm saying, my lord. So we find that kind of, that somebody's will, if a will settles every matter when you are gone, there should be nobody in court contesting a will. Will are contested. Chief Ganifemi is one of the most popular lawyers in this country, was senior advocate. His first son contested his will in court. He wrote a will, gave it to said to run his first son, who believed the will did not favor him, to court to contest and say. So that is why it is important for us to do the groundwork. You see, this is what I think. It's important that I quickly say this. Law is an instrument of social change. A well-sharpened cutlass is not going to cut grass for itself except a human being uses it. When you draft whatever you draft, you still need the goodwill of those who are going to leave behind to make it work. You see, because law itself cannot enforce itself. Law looks to the goodwill of the people to be enforced. And that's why when it comes to children with special needs, we must stress the whole idea of preparing the people who are going to implement the will. We must stress the whole idea of preparing the children themselves, because they are not going to be children forever. Your child might be 16, might be 17, might be 18, might be 19, and the person is no more. At that tender age, the child might not be able to do anything. But as the child grows older, the child can receive courage, more empowerment, more enablement to ask for what belongs to him or what belongs to her. That is the point I'm trying to make. Are you getting what I'm saying? So in
Yes,
conclusion,
I do,
Barrister.
Yes.
Your spouse will be on the same page with you. You should prepare the child to understand what it is that you want and be able to fight for that too. Those are the 2 points I'm taking away right now. Other points.
Lola, for me, that is if the child is capable of doing that. It's not every special needs child that will be capable of doing that, of being able to fight for their rights. So what we need to ensure, what we will need to ensure is that we get experienced lawyers in estate planning to do this work for us.
Not like the one that was mentioned for the first bank loan, that you get someone that will do the work for you so that it's been educated.
That is it. So that there are no flaws, there are no commas, there are no question marks. We will need to make sure, for your child's sake, that you get a seasoned and experienced estate planner to put things in place for you. Barrister has said it all. Our children, unfortunately, cannot fight these battles by themselves. In fact, even typical children, adults, most of us cannot fight these battles by ourselves. We need help. So it behoves on us, the parents, to make sure we put the right things in place. And we use the right professionals to put the things in place so that our wishes are carried out, so that our children do not suffer when we are gone.
True. Now, in planning, I want us to go to some things that will be beneficial to the parents who are watching or whoever is watching. In
Mm.
planning, I would want to highlight those specific things you think as a parent of a child with special needs, as a legal practitioner, what are those things you should consider? And you might think, oh, people should know, but no, people don't even look at this issue of will and estate planning. But what are those things they should look out for? Things like where will my child stay with? What kind of care the child would get, depending on the kind of disability the child is living with. What are those specific things that they should be thinking of as they are thinking of their estate planning or their will for the children with special needs? What are those things?
For me, the
Some of the things.
most important one would be guardianship. Who steps into my
Okay.
shoes?
Any other one, Barrister? Any other thing we should
O-
think
That's
Okay,
the
about?
okay,
Because
that's
okay.
the
So,
first
so
one.
I think we should look at it in different categories. For example, if I if I'm married, it means that if one parent passes on, it should be expected that the other parent will take charge and train the child if he or she has the capacity to do so. If it's a
I need to
single
know when,
parent,
because I've seen cases where the parent, a particular parent might not be with, and the other one just doesn't want the child. The other one wants. If that is not
this is the point.
achievable,
This is the point. To refuse to take care of your child when you are alive, you know, runs foul of the law of the country, right? That's why
but I
people
mean,
hide
people are
children.
going.
But
It's happening. I've seen it, but nobody's going to court because they
yes,
don't feel they can do
this
anything
is the
about it,
point.
and they just
This is
protect
the
their
point.
case.
This is the point again. That's why I think that this our conversation must have a level of recommendations to government, to NGOs, and all of that. There's a lot of sensitization we need to carry out. Now, it is important to note that there are many ways where people run away from their responsibility. Now, there are children in orphanages. Some of the children in orphanages are not children without parents. For example, a man loses his wife, or a woman loses. I've never seen women do that. What I've seen that men lose their wives, and what do? They say they are traumatized. They are dealing with post-traumatic disorder from the dead. They go drop the child in an orphanage to say, please, let me look after this child. I'll be coming to check the child and all of that. So I think that depending on the if you are a single person, guardianship is important. Then if you are married and you know that your spouse, it may be a man or a woman, does not care about these children, you are the one, because I've also seen that case, as you have said, Mrs. Lola Aneke. I've seen situation where it is the mother that is running around. The father does not show interest. I've seen situation where the father is the one who is interested and the wife is not interested. That second one is very rare. It is also important for such person to be thinking ahead to say that if anything happens to me, this man that I'm alive has not shown any interest. What do I begin to do? So I agree with Mrs. Karibi White that we need to think about guardianship both ways. Whether you are married, depending on the interest that you have seen. You see, there's one thing it's important for you to realize the reality of your own situation, because your situation is not an advocacy situation. If anything happens, you are gone. Advocacy is not going to solve the problem immediately. Advocacy can be for the future. But in the reality, when you look at your family and you look at what is going on, it is important for you to plan. Guardianship is very, very important. Education is key. And I've mentioned the whole idea of an insurance for the education of children. Life insurance is also important. Writing a will is also key. I think one thing we need to understand is that children with special needs to be they need to be empowered. And so we are talking about education. We are talking about what does the child want to do, even when the child has finished his or her education. Does he or she want to be set up to do something? I think we need to think ahead of all of that and have a plan. But again, if I'm going to wrap up my own contribution, I'm going to say that again, it is important when you go to developed climes, some parents are advantaged because their children have special needs. There are resources available from the states to sort out parents for the purpose of caring for their children. Are you getting it? That is not the case here. in those climes, the planning is done by government, is done by the states to ensure that these children are okay. But that is not so here. So we need to begin to lead an advocacy that recognizes every child as a child, that gives every child his, his or her right to thrive, to be nurtured, to make a difference. We have to lead that advocacy. It's very, very important. Now, that why that advocacy is not in the immediate. It's not in the immediate. It's not something we can begin to say is the immediate solution. But the truth of the matter is that,
Barrister Taiwo, sorry to
yeah,
cut you off again. This is
yeah,
just for our listeners that
yeah,
live outside Nigeria. So for
yes,
our brothers and sisters that are dual citizens,
mm,
um, it would interest you to know, like that, as you said, they have access to state funding for their children with special needs. It's important for them to know that should they want to also put in put in place estate planning, the kind of estate planning they put in place may make their child fall off, not get the state funds and the state services. Because based on what is available financially in that trust fund, the state may then deem it that that child has enough funds to take care of themselves and that the state doesn't need to care for them anymore. So for our friends abroad, our Nigerian friends and family abroad who have special needs kids, you have to be aware of this and know the particular kind of estate planning you can put in place for your child. There's something called a special needs trust. I think that is in America, that is what you can put in place that will not debar your child from getting the services of the state. I think it's almost the same in the UK, but I know for sure in the US it's a special needs trust. So I just thought I'd chip it in because I know you have viewers from around the world who may now be thinking, let me start doing this and doing that, so that you don't injure your child's chances when you're gone. You need also to get a professional, sit down with a professional and do the right and know what you can put in place, because it's not everything you can put in place. Unfortunately for us here in Nigeria, we don't have much. So we can put every and anything in place. We know our government is not doing anything for us. In fact, as far as I'm concerned, if we're going to do any advocacy, I believe that special needs parents should pay tax. I think we are doing the job of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Why do you need to? Because
So
the
for
tax
that
is not.
reason, we shouldn't pay taxes.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So we
that's what
are
I
getting
think.
there.
If you ask me, Barrister Taiwo, that's what we should be advocating for. It's a first step. Government would never like to hear that, they won't collect tax from me and you. So rather, they will put something in place
mm,
and we can start from there.
True,
good.
true,
As they
true.
are not providing
Talking about
services, they are not providing the right schools, they're not providing, then since we are our own, we are doing it all.
Government. Mm,
Yeah, we shouldn't, I think, we shouldn't pay taxes.
I agree with you.
absolutely, absolutely. You
If we
know,
are going to
one
advocate, I think that's what that's where we should start from.
Okay.
Good.
So I like the fact that you actually talked about that, and that brings me to this next question, where we have some individuals who do not actually with specialists, but they're passionate and they really want to do something about this. What should it look like? Like a trust fund for children with special needs, like probably NGOs. What should it look like? Picking up from a parent of a child with special needs, picking up from the point of a perspective of a professional in the legal field. What should that trust fund look like? Are they allowed to? One. Secondly, which I'm sure it's a yes. What should it look like? How will the beneficiary access the fund and all of that?
Well, if I can speak to that, I think all good is possible. I mean, we good is possible to do good.
and there's no law against doing good. It depends on the altruisticness of those who want to do it, and the system put in place. There's something that Mrs. Kirby White mentioned, which is very, very important. You see, a lot of times why there's crisis in estate planning is because of the level of expertise that is consulted to put it in place. So you see, so somebody can write 10 wills, 10, because you can revise your will, you improve on it, you file it again, you improve on it, you file it again. And there are instances where, a man has written his what is supposed to be his final testament. That's what they call a will testament, like New Testament, Old Testament. And after writing the final testament, gives it to the lawyer fails to file, and the man dies, and the last will is the one in probate. So it becomes an issue. Which one is his last testament? Is it the one that is in probate or the one in the lawyer's chambers? See, these are issues that are critical to look at. So it's good to do, it's possible to do good. So this is what I'm going to suggest. I think that good-spirited Nigerians must arise and do something about this situation. Now, the things that are not being done for us by government, how can we begin to put ourselves together and create a trust and say that the only children that can draw from this trust are children with special needs whose parents are no more, and they are suffering one kind of degradation or deprivation or the other. I think we can begin to look at that. I think it's a possibility. It's a good idea. It's something that should be pushed. And I think that it can get a lot of goodwill if it is pushed. As of today, I'm not aware that such NGO exists. Mrs. Caribbean White can bear me witness, can correct me if I'm wrong. But if it exists, yes, it doesn't mean that only one should exist. Many can exist. So particularly when it comes to children, indigent children, the children of House of Wood and Drawers of Water, the children of the Oipoloi, those who do not know where the next meal is coming from, the people that France cannot call the wretched of the earth. Those guys, they need all the support. Because if we wait from government from now to tomorrow, somebody said during NSAS, I don't know whether we can mention NSAS, but I've mentioned it. During NSAS, somebody said that if people are asking for road and good hospitals and good schools from a government who is holding Indomie. So somebody who cannot give you ordinary Indomie, how is going to give you school and all of that? So for now, we may not be able to put pressure on government to do much, but we must continue to put pressure. But we can go by way of NGO and all of that and create a trust that can work with children from the lower crust of the society.
Okay, so thank you so much for that. Ms. Kaibua, do you have any addition to that? Because I have one more question.
What I'll say about that is that it's a very good idea, but for me, like I say, in anything that I do, I think we need to start with the lower hanging fruit. And it is, what do we put in place how do we start to talk to ourselves to plan for our children when we're not here? So for me, I will tell you as a parent, you need to be selfish. You need to focus on your child and think, today my child is here. What do I plan? What kind of life do I want for my child? When she's 20, when she's 40, when she's 50, when she's 100, all those things, vocation, university, all those things, you have to sit down and list it out. You have to put that plan in place. You have to write it down. I know I keep coming back to it, but it's important. You need to write it down. There are many other things, they're the big things, but the low-hanging fruit is putting your pen to paper and putting together your statement of intent, your letter of intent. It's not really a legal document. It is just your wishes. Write it, my wishes for my child, and write it down. This is what I wish for 2020, for 2021, for 2022. Keep going like that. This is what I wish during marriage, whatever. Write it all down. We all have wishes, we all have dreams and aspirations for our children. Just because they are special needs shouldn't make it not so. So I'm harping on it again. This is why I'm here, basically, to enlighten all mothers, all fathers, all parents, all primary caregivers. We need to put our pen to paper and start planning. Nobody is going to plan for us. Nobody is planning for us. Nigeria is not planning for my child. 2020 has taught us that life can be interesting. Our children are living very difficult lives as it is with their special needs. We don't need to make it any more difficult for them. So please, mothers, fathers, primary caregivers, start to put your pen to paper. What do you want for this child? Write that down. Then if I'm not here, who should take my place? If we are not here, mother and father, who should take my place? I'll be honest with you, I don't really think in Nigeria today a father can take 100% place of a mother who is the primary caregiver of her child. So when I say who steps into your shoes, I'm not necessarily only talking about the father. It will be the father and somebody else. Please. Let's be real. That's the truth. I'm here to
You
say the
know,
truth and say it as it is. And that's how it is. So we need to put things down as it is. Let's be real about what is possible and what is not possible, and what we want and what we expect people to follow, those around us, if we are not there.
wow.
Okay,
You
That's
know,
Mrs.
all.
it's
Aneke,
okay,
I
and
need to
thank you
run
for
now.
what you.
Mrs. Aneke, how are you
Okay,
doing?
we're almost done. We just have.
So it's
I'm
because me
good.
I need to run.
So,
Because me I need to be. Hello, are you with me, ma? I want to make
yes,
my
I'm with
closing
you.
remarks so
You
that I
want to take
can,
a lead right now?
can I make my closing remarks so that I can move?
Okay. Don't make the closing remark, then I'll finish with
I
Mr.
should make the
Right.
closing remarks so that I
Please go
can
ahead,
go,
sir.
right? Okay. Well,
Yes, please.
I think we have had a very extensive and fruitful conversation. For me, at the end of the day, I think we need to address belief system. That is very important. A will does not become a will because you will it. If you write the will, if the people around the child does not believe in the will, they will truncate it, and it will be as if you never wrote a will. So it is important. In estate, do things that's hanging in the hand of institutions. Don't try as much as possible not to deal with people. Deal with institutions, insurance policies, having a trust company to run your estate and all of that. So it doesn't depend on whether an uncle likes your child or an auntie does not like your child. So it is important. Deal with institutions. These institutions live beyond your family. When you make your uncles, your aunties, your trustees, when they don't like the face of your children and things begin to happen, it will surprise you and they don't like you, or they are pretending all this way. So deal with institutions. Number three is the fact that we must spare a thought for those who cannot spare a thought for themselves. The hoers of wood and drawers of water, the oipoloi, the people that France for now call the wretched of the earth. This conversation will not be complete without thinking about 82 million Nigerians who are living on less than $1 per day, less than $1.9 per day. Nigeria hosts the highest number of poor people in the world, are higher than India. India is 1.3 billion. We are like 82, we are like 200 million, and we have surpassed India. We have surpassed India in the number of under 5 deaths with 200,000, with 200 million people. So we need to spare a thought for those who cannot spare a thought for themselves. Then finally, I think big organizations or people need to begin to think about how do we start a trust fund for children living with children with special needs whose parents cannot care for, and both when the parents are alive and when the parents are gone. I think we're able to do all of this. It will make a whole lot of difference in the lives of these children living with special needs. But don't forget that children that are with ordinary need, they are still struggling to have future. Not talk of children without special need. That's why we must intensify our conversation and our struggle and our agitation. The fact that we're having this conversation, that there must be estate planning for children with special needs, is already an indication that there are issues. God bless you. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you so much,
God
Barrister
bless you
Sakina.
too, Barrister Taiwo.
Thank you very much, madam.
Thank you for this.
So I
valuable
take my
points.
leave now.
Thank you.
I'll talk to you later, madam.
Thank you.
Mrs. Caribbean White,
Yeah.
it's nice sharing this platform with you today. God bless you, ma'am.
Very
So
nice
nice
meeting
meeting you.
you. God bless you.
And I salute your work, your contributions, and how you have stood by your daughter. It's commendable, inspirational, very inspirational. Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much, Melissa.
Mrs. Lola Aneke,
Thank you.
you are one of the owners of Abuja.
Thank you.
It's great to hang out with you this evening. God bless you. Good night. Bye.
Thank you so much. Have a good one. Thank you. Bye bye. Okay, Miss Caribbean White, taking from what
Yes, darling.
Melissa had rounded off, and that was where I wanted us even go to. That was a question I had for
Mhm.
you. You know, we asked the question about those who cannot afford to do this because I've seen people who, some of them don't even know how to read and write. When you're saying estate planning, some of them don't even have the financial whatever it is that they need to even put something as little. You know, some of them are even market women, some little things together. So I want us to go to talk about your will I call it your foundation? The I mean, you know, we talk about supporting creating a transport for those who cannot afford it. But beyond that, some people can even they might be able to because some of these people are business people, but they don't have they are not literate enough to understand what we're talking about. Um, what ways do you think we can educate them beyond what we some of them don't even have access to internet, so they don't even know what we're talking about right now. How do you think we can reach such people so that we can at least enlighten them as to what to do? Because some of them have what it takes, but they don't know how to go about it.
You're very right. Thank you, Lola. So there are two for me there are two issues. There's the advocacy arm, and you've brought in my foundation I'm in, and I'll get into that. But my primary concern and issue for today is talking to mothers and all primary caregivers. I will reemphasize, reemphasize, reemphasize. 2 points. Putting pen to paper. For those who cannot read or write, having the discussion with your immediate family. Tell them your plans for your child. Tell your child your plans for him or her or them. It's not a secret. Estate planning is not a secret. The only secret there is the will, where you don't want anybody to know who you are giving what. But in terms of the how, the trusteeship, all of those things should not be shrouded in any secret. So where you can write, write. Where you cannot write, talk. Have that conversation. Everybody, like I say, we don't exist in silos. Even the market woman does not exist in a silo. She has her fellow market women, her sisters, her neighbor, her family that know and care for this child. You're certainly not going to make somebody who you know does not love your child the guardian. You are not going to do that. So let's put that fear aside that there'll be the fight of this and that. I don't believe we're talking to the Dangotes of this world. We're talking to me and you. We're talking to ourselves here. Okay, so let's push that fear aside. That if we say this is what happens, is it that it will be overturned? You already know who your family members are. You know those that like your child. You know those that are going to support you. So gather that group together and start to tell them what you want. Start to tell them, start to have that conversation. That's important. Then I also spoke about, it's 2020, interesting times, financially, medically, everything. So there may not be that extra cash. But I've given some example. There are various other insurances that can be taken up. But let's start with this little one. You start small. What I'm trying to achieve today is to encourage everybody to start small. Start something.
That's
Start
something.
small. Put that pen to paper and get that insurance. If that's all you achieve in 2020, that's perfect. Next year, you start moving on to the next ones.
Just
Now
be
we
aware.
come to, yeah, now we come to advocacy. What can be done? all of it is creating awareness yet again. And, I say this, do you know that the disability world, we are the we're the largest body of what do you call it? Of oh God, the, it's left me. We're the largest set of persons in the so where you have, oh Lord, I have to come back to this. So where you have
Just
so where
explain
you're
it.
talking
I
about,
think just explain,
sorry,
explain what you're trying to say, please. Explain what you're trying to.
I'll come back to it. Let me
Okay.
get into admin and I'll get my thoughts around that and get back to it. Okay, so for admin, um, it's my foundation that I just started. It's Autism Mothers in and outside Nigeria. And basically, what we try to do is to encourage our mothers and our children to live their best possible lives. So for me, as a mother and the primary caregiver of my child, I know that most mothers are the primary caregivers. You can't give from an empty cup. You can't give what you don't have. So I really encourage mothers. We're a girls group that support one another, lifting each other up so we can do the best for ourselves and the best for our children. So basically, that's what I mean is about. Another thing we try and do is to make sure that every child on the spectrum has a voice and is given the opportunity to thrive. So we run we with education, we run a service where we once we know of a child or a family that is struggling, we try and step up and pay for the fees of that child, whether it's the therapy, whether it is school. We just try and plug the holes so that that child is not negatively impacted by their parents' finances at that time. That's one of the key things that we do. Let me go on back to the fact that the disabilities group is the largest minority group in the world. We're a minority group,
True. True. And we are the
and
largest.
we are the largest, and we are the least impacted. We are the least taken seriously.
Wow.
We are mostly used election time all over the world. You see us in front. We're used to show a caring face, and that's it.
Mm.
So I think the time has come for us to stand as a unit and fight for the rights of persons
What
with
is right?
disabilities, especially our young children. Because we have the numbers, we're almost like a mini Nigeria with almost 200 different, because there are different disabilities, you know. We don't tend to come under one umbrella and fight
Mm.
for the rights that we should have. December 3rd is World
What is
Disabilities Day.
disability?
I would like Nigeria to do something on that day, if possible. I would like to see a situation where we all sit down, all organizations that deal with different disabilities sit down and put a plan of action in place. Agree on something. Agree to push for something and advocate that something.
In one
That's what
voice.
I would like to see. Yeah, with one voice. We have the
Absolutely.
numbers. We just work in silos. We need to work together. We need to join forces, pick one issue that affects all of us and fight for it. And believe me, we will get it.
Wow. Thank you so much. It's been an enlightening session, even for me. And I believe every of our audience has gained one thing or the other. This is one topic that I've been looking forward to. And I want to thank you so much for doing justice to it. And also, Barrister in absentia. It's been a wonderful, wonderful learning experience for me. I want to thank everyone. Kende Jeanette, we see you. Yinka Osiyemi, Pamela, Manu, Lola Adeleye, Yinka yeah. I see
Lola,
every one of
can
you.
I just
Abosede
say
Abubakar.
something? Lola, we haven't done justice to this topic.
Oh, dude, there'll be a part two, definitely.
You need to break it down, because we need to talk about
Absolutely.
the issue of guardianship.
Yes,
We
there'll be
also need
actually. I didn't want to
we al-
announce this yet because we need to
okay.
get resource people on board. But this is a topic that, for now, this is like the beginning.
This
Because
because
we can't take
these
it
are
all
just
into the.
opened.
Remember, we're meant
These
to
are
spend just
just
90
opened
minutes,
it up.
and we've
Yeah.
exceeded it.
We need to talk.
So
We need to talk about
we're coming
guardianship.
back. Definitely, there'll be a
Also,
part two, a part three, because we need to
yes,
break it really down. That's why I was asking that question of some people have the resources, but they don't understand the steps to take, what to do. Because of several reasons.
Another issue I want you to also deal with. We also need to deal with the aspect of legal guardianship.
Legal guide. I wish you could see I wish you could see that. I wrote it right here. Legal guidance. Like, we're going to discuss
Legal
that really.
guardianship. Because
Absolutely. And I hope you'll be willing to come on board too.
Yes,
To have this
definitely.
discussion
Once
with
our
us.
children turn 18, they have all the rights. Our high functioning children, well and good, they're living in society, they're doing things, wonderful things, but they have been sheltered.
True.
So a lot of them don't have that street sense. So how do you manage that?
True.
How do you manage that? How do you give them their legal freedom and not give them their legal freedom? How do you gauge it? Those are things to look at, because they are vulnerable. Anybody can take control of them.
True.
So those are things we need to watch out for. Guardianship, like I said, and then the various insurances that are possible.
Yes.
And of course, we need to break down trusteeship.
We'll break it down more so that people can truly get, because this is one topic I know it's very technical, but for today, you've done quite for me, I applaud you for the good job you've done for today. And then subsequently, we'll have different topic relating to this, and call maybe a part 2 and a part 3, but we'll go deeper so that we create a better awareness and enlighten more people so that they can begin to take the steps. Because I know people have questions as to, okay, if this happened, what do I do? The legal guidance and other things, and then we'll do this. And I hope you'll be willing to also join us on this conversation.
I'll be willing to come back.
Thank you so much. I want to say thank you to everybody. Thank you, everyone. This for me has been awesome. I've learned quite a lot, and it doesn't just have to do with children with special needs also. Even children without disability, they can also benefit, because we could close our eyes at any time what's going to happen to these children. Thank you so much, Mr. Alex. Also,
put your pen to paper.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for spending your evening with us. We'll be back next week if we can. We might go ahead with the next topic relating to this. Otherwise, we'll do something about. We're definitely coming back to this topic. I want to appreciate everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Have a blessed week.
And thank you, Mr. Alexander. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye, everyone. Have a blessed week.
You too. Bye-bye.